Hey, what's up guys, Rampedi here. The episode after the Nedbank Cup final. Orlando Pirates, congratulations. Jose, i-CV yakhe ilambile. Let's go.
That's how it goes?
They keep asking about the best when they know it's me.
Okay.
Asking about the rest when they know it's me.
Straight in, I guess.
You know it's me.
Orlando Pirates are Nedbank Cup champions. That is their second trophy of the season. That means that is the second cup for Jose Rivera this season. And you know what that means? It's humble pie for a lot of you. A lot of people doubted. You know, and when you doubt, I understand why the fans doubt. You're not sure, you don't know where he's from and everything. Great, fine. But when people are supposed to be objective and they're doubting already, when people are supposed to do their research, because that's the job that they do, they started doubting. People were saying his CV is empty. It's starving. People were talking about the fact that he's on the back foot. People asked him about him being a plumber. I'm thinking to myself, man, this profession of ours, I mean, guys, no homework was done whatsoever. And what I loved the most at the end of the game, when they asked Marco, you know, how does he feel about having to win the Nedbank Cup with the Orlando Pirates? He spoke about the fact that people dissed our coach. They said he's a plumber. And I was like, yes, you tell them. You tell them, because sometimes this industry, that occupation, sometimes they're not objective. They're really not. They got clubs that they support. And you can just see it even in the way that they report. You can get which occupation I'm talking about here, right? Congratulations to Orlando Pirates. You scouted a really good coach, like I've spoken about it before. But now, the time to close the gap on Mamelodi Sundowns is now. So you're not off the hook yet with me. No. You're not off the hook yet. You know, celebrate your 2 trophies. Coach, you did a good job. Great. But next season, you have to close the gap. You've laid the foundation. It's there. We see it. You can coach. Players are fighting for one another. But the gap cannot be 15 to 20 points. Huge guest, ladies and gentlemen. This is the biggest guest we've ever had on Playing the Field with Shakes. Businessman and chairman of Swallows Football Club. Yes, David Mogashoa is on the show. I spoke to him about the season. How did he feel about it? Musa Nyatama taking Swallows forward. Sundowns' dominance. And also, could he be reunited with Njabul Ngobo?
David Mogashoa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jackson. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Only a pleasure. So usually to start off the show, I want to ask this question. The first question I want to ask is, was it a penalty in the Nedbank Cup final?
I actually saw 2 fouls. I mean, the first one, he almost tripped the leg. If you watched the leg of this one, almost tripped Lodge, and then the handball. So, yeah. But my question is, why didn't the referee call for a foul before all those things happened?
I'm not sure. I think I was more disappointed in the fact that Victor Letwalo reached out, because I was thinking, play to the whistle, stay down, don't try to make movements to the ball, you know?
That was more disappointing. And I actually used to worry about that. Remember, Doctor used to do that a lot. He used to do that a lot when he falls, he'll grab the ball. You know, like one day this guy's going to get a red card and it's not going to be funny, you know?
Amazing. So now, obviously, the South African Football League has come to an end. The season has come to an end. How would you summarize how Swallows' season's been? Because one time it was relegation, and then it was coach changing. Now you get top 8. How would you summarize it?
Look, it was a bit of a, what do they call it, a topsy-turvy season. It was a lot of ups and downs. But I actually didn't think that would have a bad season like we had last season. Last season was terrible. So this year, I knew that it would have been better. You know, I actually I predicted that would finish at around position 10. I didn't want us to finish anywhere near relegation. I mean, first, we had Dylan Kerr that left us after the game with Arrows that we lost 4-0. I mean, he left there. And then we got Musa to come in. And then we got Coach Ernst Medendorp. He also left after a 4-1 drubbing. So it looks like a 4, it's a problem at Swallows, you know. You concede 4, it's guaranteed the next fixture. So it was a bad season. I'm happy the way we ended because we were almost at relegation, but I knew that Swallow was not going to be relegated. We've got very good squad, so there was no way that we were going to get relegated. So I think the boys just needed a bit of motivation from a different individual, because sometimes it's not, you look at a bad performance on the pitch and you think there could be some stuff going around in the background. It's how the coaches speak to the players and how they motivate the players. And I think we've got the right person in Musa because the player seems to be responding very well to him and they're getting the results.
It's funny that you bring up Musa Nyatama because the first time you appointed him, I think Dylan Kerr had left and then you put him in. And to be fair, I was a bit scared because I did not want him to carry the weight that Swallows is. Swallows is a very big football club. It's a club that I've also had experience with as well. So what actually motivated that Musa Nyatama is the man to go with?
It actually goes back to the playoffs. A lot of things were happening in the playoffs. People don't know. There were some players that actually felt that Coach Dylan Kerr was not the right person to take them to the playoffs. They actually wanted me to let go of Coach Dylan Kerr in the playoffs. How? They actually set up, a committee that was going to coach the players in the playoffs last season. A lot of things we keep them to ourselves, but playoffs were rough. They wanted me to let go of Coach Dylan Kerr in the playoffs. And I remember there was a game in Pretoria where we played, and the senior players were more instrumental in that game. And Musa was one of those players that were instrumental in us winning the game in Pretoria.
No, unbelievable. And I tell you, Jay, I actually thought you were very brave to put him there. Because obviously you think about the experience and now he's getting those qualifications as well. But now with Musa coming in, I think it's long-term, right? We're trying to go years and years with Musa Nyatama.
No, definitely. I mean, we're trying to move away from this thing of changing coaches. Also, I want to have some faith in Musa. I had made a faith in Musa because I saw what he could do in the playoffs, obviously, but everyone doesn't know what I can see because I go to training and I see these things. People think I just sit here and tweet the whole day. I tweet while I'm at training, So I can see what is Musa capable of. So the best thing that I can do for Musa now is to support him and make sure that he gets his highest coaching badges because he has done pretty much what SAFA offers here. So now he has to now go out of the country to get the higher qualifications. So I do have faith in Musa. I've asked him to find himself an assistant, and then we move forward.
Interesting. You mentioned before that the importance of avoiding the playoffs because last season that was happening in that situation. For people that are watching, why is it so important to avoid the playoffs, even from a financial standpoint? Because you're talking about stress and how you were by the second game,
Look, playoffs are bad. I don't want to lie to anyone because when the season ends, everyone is now going on holiday. I mean, your mates are going on holiday now. You must stress about preparing for playoffs. And already there's fatigue that kicks in. I mean, people talk about Marumo being relegated. Those guys were tired. I mean, I could see them on second half that there's no saving Marumo. They are gone. And I imagine now you have to play more matches after that, so fatigue kicks in. I remember last season when we were playing playoffs, at match number 3, I didn't even want to go to the stadium. I was already fatigued. Now imagine players that are playing the matches. How do they feel? So you don't want to go to playoffs simply because you are tired. Already your mind is telling you that the season has ended. You're switched off. So anything can happen at the playoffs. So the playoffs are very, very tiring. I don't want to lie. They are tiring.
I can imagine. Look, and when I saw even the stress last season, I saw even the captain was crying as well. Wantisila was crying. And now eventually you guys avoid it. You make top 8. Now the product itself, the DStv Premiership, the league within itself. I've always wanted to ask people inside the industry because us as fans on the outside, we're watching this thing, we're enjoying it, I'm loving it. But now we get into a stage where a team is winning 6 times in a row and they're winning by a distance. Inside football, is there a worry at the fact that there's so much dominance from one team winning it every single year in the way that they're winning it?
There is worry, but unfortunately, there isn't much we can do with that worry because it has to do with your financial muscle. So if you have financial muscle, you can dominate the league. But it looks like now Pirates will catch up because they're playing beautiful football. I think Coach Jose is doing very, very well at Pirates. He should be applauded. So I hope that they don't change much next season because when you change your squad, you mess up with your rhythm of the squad. So if they keep most of the players that they have now, they'll definitely challenge Sundowns. And I must say, I mean, it's not always about the money. If you look at Swallows this season, we're actually position number 6 because we are joint 8 with number 6, number 7 on 40 points. For a club that doesn't have a sponsor, doesn't have any resources, surviving on what I get this, I think we're doing very well. I mean, we're competing with clubs that have sponsors on headline, on front of the jersey, on sleeve, everywhere, and we've got nothing. So I think we're doing well. It has to do with the motivation of the players and the coaching staff. So I think if you have those right, you can still compete. But to match Sundowns toe to toe is going to take a good couple of years.
No, I can imagine. I mean, of course, Sundowns, their project has been. They've been doing it for such a long time, even when Pito came in. So it's been something that they've continued. I was just sort of asking that, like in Inside Football, do they have the same worry? Because some people will be like, but look, Man City, Arsenal, they go toe-to-toe. Look, Liverpool, Man City. Look, even in Bundesliga, you had Dortmund, Bayern Munich as well, going toe-to-toe. Will we ever get a season where at least it's stretched out till the last day of the season, like the Chiefs and Sundowns season?
I think next season we are going to have a season where it's stretched out to the last season. Definitely, you can see now that clubs have caught up to Sundowns. We'll always use Sundowns because they won the league with 7 games to go. So we'll always use Sundowns as an example. But I think next season they will get a run for their money. It will be good for the league. They will definitely get a run for their money.
Now, I was on social media just the other day. I saw you pictured with one of the players I rate highly, Njabuleng Moegoe, who was at Swallows, made defend of the season. Obviously, the relationship is still there. Are you disappointed with how it's gone with him and Kaizer Chiefs?
Very disappointed. I think he's also disappointed that he did not get game time. I'm open to talks if they want to send him out. I'm willing to take him. So he did very well. And I always say to people, the pressure at Swallows is not the same pressure at Chiefs. You can be a very good player at Swallows and be a bad player at Chiefs simply because the weight that you are carrying at Chiefs, it's so much that one mistake, then you find yourself on the wrong side of the fence. Whereas at Swallows, you make a mistake and you can recover. But Chiefs, Pirates, very difficult to recover from a mistake. I mean, even your dress code, they criticize you even for your dress code. I saw them criticizing Coach Arthur's what he says, saying you can't coach Chiefs who are very polo neck. I mean, what is that, So the pressures are different,
There's reports happening that Musa Nyatama now, you said, has to look for an assistant because he just lost the technical, right? So what happened with that situation? Is Morgan Mamila leaving Swallows? Is that official now? And
look, personally, I think Morgan is leaving. He asked to see me tomorrow, but personally, I think he's leaving. From the conversation I've had with him, I think he's leaving. And I wouldn't want to stand in anyone's way because our discussion was that you can come to Swallows and assist there because he was doing nothing. I mean, he's just been relieved of his duties at Cheaper. So I said, you can come at Swallows and see what you can do. Then we'll see what are the plans for next season. So Cheaper took him back. So good for him. I know my friend Shem Morgan likes microphones and to be on TV cameras. So he gets that opportunity again to go to Cheaper and be on the TV cameras and do interviews. Because at Swallows, Musa is the head coach. So you can't be competing with Musa.
100%. So this is the last question that I have. You finished in top 8. You faced Mamelodi Sundowns as your first fixture. What is Swallows' plan for next season? What would the chairperson like next season for Swallows to do?
Look, I've always said Swallows must do better than the previous season. We did much better than the previous season. So I expect next season to be better. Next season, we must finish at least position 7 going up. We can't finish lower than what we did this season. So we have to compete and make sure that we stabilize as a club. Without a sponsor, unfortunately, we're not going to say we want to win the league. You can't win the league without the financial muscles. It's impossible. You can't. So we just have to make sure that we are consistent and we do better than the previous season. Then once we get a sponsor, then we can challenge for the league.
Herman, a pleasure to have you on the show. I just want to also tell the audience as well, this man right here got me a banner when I absolutely needed something to stand beside me. You believed in me, and it's something that I'm really, really grateful for the belief that you showed at the time. And I'll show it on screen as well for people to see which banner it was. But I just want to say, Chairman, thank you so much. You believe in people, what you're doing with Musa Nyatama, what you did with me as well. I only wish you success.
No, thank you very much, Shakes. I mean, I believe in people, because I always believe that somebody must believe in someone for that person to go somewhere. When we got promoted as solos from the NFD, people said, no, fire Brandon Truter and get an experienced coach. I had to fight many people to keep Brandon Truter. I kept him. He got his experience. Look at him now. I mean, he doesn't have to introduce himself. He was at the Nedbank Cup final yesterday. So had there not been that controversial moment, I think he would have won it.
Yeah.
So believing in people is something that I believe in because somebody believed in me as well.
Chairperson, thank you so much. Really do appreciate
it. Thank you very much, Shakes. Thank you.
Star of the Week and Moegoe of the Week. This is the segment. It's very new to the show where I highlight who was the star during this past week and as well as who was right at the bottom this past week. And that would be the Moegoe. Let's kick things off. Jose Rivero, that's the star of the week. Why is it Jose? It's his first season. 2 trophies. He brought that respect back to Orlando Pirates. And I have to mention again, he kept a lot of you quiet. Unbelievable. That's the star. Moegoe of the week. It's the player from the opposition that was facing Orlando Pirates this past weekend. Victor Letswalo Maranoyetsa. Why were you reaching your hand out like that? I just did not understand that. I just did not. Whether he touched it or not, you don't know and I don't know. We can watch the video many times if you want. But for him to reach his hand out to obstruct play as well, just before halftime, Sekhukhune was leading. They were leading. And you decided to do that while you're injured on the floor. If your leg is really hurting, stay touching your leg. What you doing trying to reach for the ball? Why? And that is when Orlando Pirates found the equalizer and went on in the second half to win the game. The worst part about it, when you watch the video, Cardozo's got Lodge covered. Doing this. What are you doing? So, that's my Moegoe of the week. It's time for our weekly bet of the week. The purpose of this segment is to show you my bet slip in hopes that it helps yours light and green. The more accurate, the more cash you get. Let's get into it. So, the Premier League is done. What are we going to bet on? Don't worry, I got you. Just relax. I got you. Number of games that are happening this week. First game, Sevilla against Roma. Europa League final. I've gone with Roma or draw and under 3.5 goals. And then we head off to the FA Cup final. Manchester City going up against Manchester United. I've gone for either team to win and over 2.5 goals. La Liga, Real Madrid against Bilbao. Real Madrid straight win. Straight. Villarreal against Atletico Madrid. I've gone with over 1.5. You will not believe this, guys. With just 4 games, the odds are 7.20. That's 7 times the money back. And I tell you something, man. It was just magic with Betway. That's all I did. I just selected 4 games and they gave me those odds. So Betway, thank you very much. And if you want to win with me, there's a link in below. Click onto that link and let's get winning. That is Bet of the Week, sponsored by Betway. Remember to practice responsible betting at betway.co.za. Until the next one, all the best. We've come to the end of the show. So, the local season is done, Shakes. But guess what? I'll see you next week. I ain't going nowhere. And for you that's watching, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified for future episodes.